Well, we'll be the judge of that.
Huh?
We'll be the judge of that.
You'll give the judgment? Grade. Okay. Put the grade on the curve. We're all sick around here, you know.
But some are sicker than others.
Yeah, well, grade on the curve. Grade by absolute. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Narayana, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Shindatam Swakata Krishna,
Shindatam Swakata Krishna,
Punya Shravana Kirtanaha,
Punya Shravana Kirtanaha,
Vidyantastohi Bhadrani,
Vidyantasta Bhadrani,
Vedunoti Suhritsatam,
Vidunati Suritam.
Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nashtapreshu Vadreshu,
Nashtapreshu Vadreshu,
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Bhagavati Uttamashloke.
Bhagavati Uttamashloke.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki.
Bhagavati Naishtaki.
So bringing. What is this? By regular attendance and classes on the Bhagavatam, by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose praise in the transcendental songs is established as an irrevocable fact. Did I miss anything?
That's a fact.
So slow brain. Also, I was looking at my opening the book at the same time, so that's not sort. So it's easier to read from my phone. Where's the read comes after? It comes right there. That's not it. I'm in the wrong person in the wrong chapter. All right, let's just read from here. Put my glasses on this quicker. You don't have to read this long for me if I do this. Okay. Patitam. Padayor. Viraha. Patitam padayor viraha. Kripaya. Dina. Vatsalaha. Kripaya Dina Vatsalaha. Sharanyo. Navadhi. Shlokya. Sharanyo Navadhi Shlokya. Aha. Chedam. Hasan. Iva. Aha Chedam Hasan Iva. Patitam padayor viraha. Kripaya dina vatsalaha. Sharanyo navadhi shlokya. What is C-H-L-O? Shlokya, yeah. Aha chedam hasaniva. Patitam padayor viraha. Kripaya dina vatsalaha. Sharanyo navadhi shlokya. Aha chedam hasaniva. Everybody sounds right.
Patitam padayor viraha. Kripaya dina vatsalaha. Saranyo navadish lokya. Aha chedam hasan eva.
Patitam padayo vira. Kripaya dina vatsalaha. Saranyo navadish lokya. Aham chedam hasan eva. Patitam padayor viraha. Kripaya dina vatsalaha. Saranyo navadhik shlokya. Aha chedam hasaniva.
Patitam padayor viraha. Kripaya dina vatsalaha. Saranyo navadish lokya. Aha chedam hasaniva.
Patitam padaya vira. Kripaya dina vatsalaha.
Vatsalah
Nyonavadich Shlokya
Saranyonavadit Shokya
Ahachedam Hasan Iva
Ahachedam Hasan Iva
Patitam Padayo Veka
Patitam Padayo Veka
Vipayadina Vatsalah
Vipayadina Vatsalah
Anyonavadich Shlokya
Saranyonavadit Shlokya
Ahachedam Hasan Iva
Ahachedam Hasan Iva
Word meanings. Patitam,
Patitam
fallen.
Fallen
Padayo,
Padayo
at the feet.
At the feet
Viraha,
Viraha
the hero.
The hero
Vipaya,
Vipaya
out of compassion.
Out of compassion
Dina Vatsalaha,
Vatsalah
kind to the poor.
Kind to the poor
Sharamya,
Saranya
one who is qualified to accept surrender.
One who is qualified to accept surrender
Na,
Na
not. Avadhit,
Avadi
did kill.
Did kill
Shlokya.
Shlokya.
The mystery of that word shlokya is actually shlokya. One who is worthy of being sung.
One who is worthy of being sung
Aha,
Aha
said.
said
Cha,
Cha
also.
also
Idam,
Idam
this.
This
Hasan,
Hassan
smiling.
Smiling
Eva,
Eva
like.
Like
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Jai
I'm sorry, I have a cough drop in my mouth. That might make a difference. Sorry about that. I'm doing all right, I think, but tell me if you can't understand. Okay, translation. Maharaj Parikshit, who was qualified to accept surrender and worthy of being sung in history, did not kill the poor surrendered and fallen Kali, but smiled compassionately, for he was kind to the poor. Please repeat. Maharaj Parikshit, who was qualified to accept surrender
Who is qualified to accept surrender
and worthy of being sung in history,
and worthy of being sung in history
did not kill the poor surrendered and fallen Kali,
did not kill the poor surrendered and fallen Kali
but smiled compassionately,
but smiled compassionately
for he was kind to the poor.
for he was kind to the poor.
Purport. Even an ordinary kshatriya does not kill a surrendered person. And what to speak of Maharaj Parikshit, who was by nature compassionate and kind to the poor. He was smiling because the artificially dressed Kali had disclosed his identity as a lower-class man. And he was thinking how ironic it was that although no one was safe from his sharp sword when he desired to kill, the poor lower-class Kali was spared by his timely surrender. Maharaj Parikshit's glory and kindness are therefore sung in history. He was a kind and compassionate emperor, fully worthy of accepting surrender even from his enemy. Thus, the personality of Kali was saved by the will of providence. I was born in the darkest of ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So here we have some things that we take for granted when we read these stories, but to us it's kind of like reading a fairy tale, which we take for granted, the killing, the compassion, the greatness, all this, because we haven't seen a real kshatriya like this. We've barely seen a real brahmana. Of course, Prabhupada was a real brahmana. Everybody hasn't seen them, but whoever has seen them is able to follow, and then we can have some possibility of seeing Prabhupada and other real brahmanas. But kshatriya, I don't know if we've seen a kshatriya like this, because he was ready to kill Kali. He has a sharp sword. So picture it for real. He has a sharp sword, and what's he going to do with it? He would cut off his head. Now, he told Dharma that he was quite capable of doing this. And Dharma understood that he was quite capable of doing it. Now, how many people, what is this capability? How many people can we think of that would behead somebody with their own hands and their own sword and keep a steady mind and still be in that consciousness of loving the Brahminical culture, because that's the quality of the Kshatriya too, that they love the Brahminical culture. So most people would either become killing maniacs or they would just become crushed with the thought that they had to kill somebody like that. So Maharaj Krishna could handle it and stay steady-minded, which is an amazing thing right there that we can hardly imagine. Just to catch you up.
Sorry. I
What was it? Huh?
I heard something out there.
You heard something out there? Okay, don't have to catch you up then.
Okay, you can be sure.
Huh?
You can.
The speaker's on.
Yeah. Anyways, so he's capable of killing. In fact, in the Battle of Kurukshetra, I remember in the Mahabharata, as it was going on day after day, the warriors, the Kshatriyas, when they met at night, they were kind of bemoaning their lot that they had to kill all day. What a terrible job this is to have. What a terrible varna this is, to have to kill so much. They were in the process of killing millions of men. And so they lamented their life. They were steady, though. They were still steady. And they were still Krishna conscious. And they were still maintaining their culture at night as they spoke to each other, and so on. They were steady. That's really hard to understand. And so we read it. I mean, it's okay to read it as like reading a fairy tale. And of course, in fairy tales, these personalities are like that. We don't have direct experience of this. So then, like a few verses ago, when I didn't have to give the class, and I was glad I didn't have to, because it was talking about how there should be up to the death penalty for intoxication, which was 28, not that long ago. We haven't been doing much Bhagavatam, but I guess we talked about other things. And so in 28 in the purport, where is that verse? Okay, they must at once close all shops of intoxicating drugs and wine, and force punishment even by death for those who indulge in habits of intoxication of all description. That's like, what? And we would not do that in this time. And yet Prabhupada is saying this must be done. So we actually are safe because we don't have to do it. He says, ideally, this is the ideal way to do it. But he did not tell us to do this, really. Because the more recent example is Lord Chaitanya, when Jagai and Madai were thoroughly drunk and behaving in all kinds of really bad ways, and had even attacked Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda talked Lord Chaitanya out of killing him, and Lord Chaitanya was going to behead him. And Lord Nityananda said, no, in this incarnation you don't kill. In this incarnation, you kill the demonic within a person, but you don't kill people, you'd have to kill everybody. This is Kali Yuga. And that's exactly what would happen here. If we took this literally and took it as an instruction that we have to kill anyone who indulges in any kind of intoxication, well, for one thing, if that were to be the government that would have to do it, first of all, the government would have to kill themselves off. And then who would do it? Because everybody has some kind of intoxication going on. Almost everybody in this society. And we'd hardly have any people left. And I don't know who would do the killing. There's nobody who's qualified to do that kind of killing for that kind of purpose. So this is like ideal. And sometimes the ideal is presented in one way, and sometimes it's presented in another way. And we're in Lord Chaitanya's movement, and we're supposed to follow Lord Chaitanya's example and cure the demonic within people by giving them the holy names and transcendental knowledge and prasadam. So, and then engaging them in devotional service where they accept this. So that's our actual instruction. At the same time, if there were an ideal society, everybody would be happy. There would not be a need for intoxication. If there was an ideal Daiva Varnashram society, that everyone would be happy. Nobody would be in anxiety. Because why do people want to be intoxicated now? Because either they hate their jobs are just miserable. They're so unhappy in their jobs, and they got to forget it. or they don't want to face having to get that kind of job. One or the other is the reason why people are so intoxicated nowadays. They just want to make all this misery easier. So if the government was actually ideal and actually lovers of the Brahminical culture and actually guided by real Brahmana Vaishnavas, this could be possible. So actually that's our task, to move the whole society. Prabhupada did say, establish varnashram. So not established by starting with inventing some kshatriyas who are qualified to kill everybody for intoxication. That's not where to start. So Prabhupada started by trying to make some brahmanas who would actually give some alternative to society. And to distribute the books, distribute transcendental knowledge, the holy names, prasadam, like that, to try to elevate everybody's consciousness. If we keep on doing that, and try to start varnashram from the philosophical and service kind of thing, where we just figure out ourselves according to the philosophy of varnashram and figure out how we interact and what qualities should be developed. Now each varna has certain qualities, and it's in the Bhagavatam, it's in the Bhagavad Gita, it's in instructions. Yeah, the kshatriyas have to learn how to kill. We're not there yet. The kshatriyas, there should be some people who are able to. We have persons who are armed, and we have persons who know how to fight, whether it's martial arts or other kind. We have persons who know that. So we have some elements of this. And we have to have a government for the community. It's another element. We have to build it from the ground up, though. We have to build it from equal, across the board. Everybody has to know their varna and understand what qualities they're supposed to develop. This is philosophical. It's sort of like understanding Bhagavad Gita and understanding that we're eternal spirit souls, and then trying to act according to that, trying to develop the right qualities that go with that understanding. So same with varnashram. We have to start from the ground up. Maybe someday it'll be so ideally established that it will be like he says here. But anyway, we're not there yet where we kill, because we would never finish killing. We'd have to kill ourselves too. So even among the devotees, some would have to kill ourselves, and for different reasons. So we are not there yet. Anyways, here we have Maharaj Parikshit, who's capable, who is running an ideal kingdom where nobody should need any intoxication. And nobody needs to kill cows, and cows are protected and everything. So here's this guy who's a representative of the age that's coming. And Maharaj Parikshit has this opportunity to kill him, and somehow he doesn't do it. But he's capable of just cutting the head off and maintaining a stable mind, and still being a lover of the Brahminical culture, and it's just his duty. He's quite capable of doing that and enforcing this kind of idealism, because he is ideal. But this smile is very interesting, because in the text it says he smiled compassionately, but then Prabhupada also added another level. He smiled ironically, because here this Kali, I would have killed him, but now he's surrendered to me. Now he's like, because I have to not kill him. He's compassionate. So there's a double kind of layer to this sign. He's smiling because he's compassionate, but he's smiling because of the irony, because he can't kill Kali now. Because Kali has been quick and smart about surrendering. So, anyways, let's see. So Maharaj Parikshit, he was ready to cut his head off. And he's the grandson of a glorious Arjuna who participated in killing millions of men in the battle. And he's celebrated for his compassion, kindness and compassion. So I'm just sort of marveling at this whole picture here, that somebody ready to kill, because we understand this killing only ends one lifetime, and it delivers some karma, and the king is authorized to deliver some karma. So that karma doesn't have to come in the next life. So we understand that. So same with Arjuna in the beginning, facing the battle of Kurukshetra, he was giving all kinds of materialistic arguments. We won't be able to enjoy. It will be sin. We'll destroy the fabric of society. Everyone will suffer. The ancestors will suffer. The future generations will suffer. Everybody's going to suffer if we do this. But these are all material arguments. And under normal circumstances, there will be good enough arguments to really make you stop and say, should we really do this? But Krishna was there, and Krishna wanted it, and Krishna had promised Mother Bhumi that he would get rid of the armies and the demoniac leaders who were making these armies. And so, and to Krishna, killing is nothing because, it's just a material body made of his energy, and that, and another one. It's no big deal to Krishna because he has the whole long vision. And so then by teaching the Bhagavad Gita, he gives Arjuna that whole long vision. Arjuna is ready to serve him in that way. So the ideal king, who is a lover of the Brahminical culture, has this knowledge. So he knows that killing is just killing the body. He knows this. So we are still working on understanding this. So we may read this like it's a fairy tale, sort of. And fortunately, we are safe. We aren't going to have to do that because we aren't anywhere near this kind of situation. So, Kali's all around us, but we can't. We have not actually been personally told by Prabhupada to go kill everybody who is acting according to Kali. We're supposed to kill their demonic propensities. So, Kali was perhaps unfortunately saved by the will of Providence, because there has to be a Kali Yuga anyway. So Maharaj Krishna could keep it at bay for a while, but there has to be a Kali Yuga because it's set up. There's this cycle of time. Has to be a time for all the karma to manifest. Has to be a time for Lord Chaitanya, for the holy names. In the age of Kali, the holy names. Maybe in other Kali Yugas when Lord Chaitanya does not come, they still chant the holy names, but it's a little different from when Lord Chaitanya comes. But it's still the way in Kali Yuga, is my understanding. It will be the same in any Kali Yuga. But maybe not after Lord Chaitanya's movement, but still chanting the holy names somehow. So it comes down to that's what we have to do, and that's always the answer to that. Spread the chanting of the holy names, spread prasadam, spread transcendental knowledge, the books. That's what we have to do. So it still comes down to that. So, but this story, having the great king like this, is very instructive to us. It makes the contrast come out more clearly when we see it in this form, a story like this, a true story, a story like this, that makes us understand things more clearly. We have to do what we have to do, which is Lord Chaitanya's movement. So I'm going to stop there. Is there enough to say about that? Anybody want a discussion? I have a question or comment? Yeah.
It says in 14:17 in the purport
Bhagavad Gita?
in Bhagavad Gita,
Bhagavad Gita 14:17.
that intoxication is the shelter for people with passion.
People in passion?
Yeah. What's this? That's all you need. When one is engaged in the mode of passion, not only is he mentally unhappy, but his profession and occupation are also very troublesome. He has to devise so many plans and schemes to acquire enough money to maintain his status quo. This is all miserable. In the mode of ignorance, people become mad, being distressed by the circumstance. They take, so it goes in the mode of ignorance, and then it's the mode of ignorance that they actually go into intoxication.
Intoxication makes
they
you
take
more
shelter of
ignorant.
intoxication, and thus they sink further into ignorance and further in life. That is their future, rather, in life is very dark. So it's actually more of ignorance.
There's a story of the history of in China, the opium epidemic, opium addiction epidemic in China, which was, it's not that opium was unheard of, but there was somehow the British manipulated so that it became an epidemic in China, and actually they would kill, wouldn't they? They weren't messing around. They saw it as the work of the enemy, and they would kill whoever they found intoxicated.
If two policemen saw someone, they would verify of each other. Do you see this?
So he says, in case everybody couldn't hear, if two policemen saw, they would verify to each other, and then they would kill on the spot.
Right.
Chinese policemen, you mean?
Huh?
Chinese.
British or the Chinese?
Chinese.
The Chinese. They were fighting this was a work of the enemy.
Right.
It was an invasion of the enemy.
The British.
To get people, the British were the enemy, and they were getting people
Hooked.
addicted. Right?
Didn't the British go to war with them? just to be able to continue doing that. One,
yeah, it was
Fox rebellion, I believe.
Yeah.
it was actually a war, and that was one of their tactics to get people addicted. So that to fight it, they simply shot their own people that they found addicted. And because once you were addicted to opium, I guess you were kind of like useless anyway, so I guess that's what they did. They just killed them. So, and here we have Parishad Maharaj he has to kill on the spot. He's prepared to kill on the spot. He's the judge, the jury, and executioner, and the original policeman all at once sometimes when he's there. And so he's qualified to do that because he's a lover of the Brahminical culture and is trained up and pronounced qualified to do that, so he will do it right. So it would have been right if he had killed Kali. It would have been the right thing, but then Kali surrendered, so then that was the right thing. So, yeah.
Me?
I see this.
Okay. Two things. One, that I was in China, and my uncle was the acting governor. My mother's uncle was the acting governor of Macau, China.
Wow.
And he had an opium den in his house.
He had what in his house?
An opium den.
Oh.
Yeah, and so like what you're saying, at that time, there was so much of that. Actually, John Wayne went to visit him, and he was asked, like, how did he like that area? And he said, well, fine, if you like opium dens. That was like the big thing, back in the day. And the second thing I was going to say is that I thought that it was like Kshatriyas were allowed to take intoxication and even some meat eating. What do you know about that?
Well, I thought they could, the animals that they killed, they could eat. And there's always been some intoxication, but they pay the price for those things.
They have to get karma, or they have to do something to get purified or something. They have to go away and meditate and get purified or something. They do get karma for it.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, to the extreme of let's kill them all, to where this was like happening in Krishna's time, where, they were taking intoxication, as you say, of course, with Lord Chaitanya.
We've kind of found out how easy it is to have prohibition. People just do it in their backwoods or something anyways.
Right.
It's anyways hard to... Because people are miserable, basically. They're in the lower modes and they're miserable. So we have to give them some higher modes and some higher happiness, higher taste.
I think that Prabhupada, had some other things to say at different times, like about that, in other words, in this age, may not always be. If you definitely didn't want devotees doing things like chanting in front of a slaughterhouse or something like that. But, I heard that Prabhupada had considered in the Juhu Beach Hotel that he didn't do this, but it was considered that there would be for businessmen who come there, that they could have a separate room for, smoking or something, and tea. I sort of have the sense that I've read or heard about said in this age it may not be possible but at least if the government is controlling it, I might be wrong about this, but I thought I heard of him saying that if the government controls it, then it's a more, it protects the citizens.
Yeah,
like there's prostitution.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say. Yeah. So it's there's so many layers to this, and thought of something else for a minute.
But and also it's just, but then like I heard Bhanu Swami a few months ago describing that each caste, the sutras had so many things that they could do. In other words, but of course there was like they were just saying some restrictions to it and some other things they had. there'd be some reactions for it, but they were allowed, they had more freedoms in a sense to not be as pure. But the Vaishyas were a little bit more pure than the Sudras.
Yeah.
And the Kshatriyas were more pure than the Vaishyas. And then the Brahmins, there was no, you had to be all good. No passion, no ignorance. No, like the Kshatriya can go, before a battle, can go kill a deer, practices his aura of war or something, and then eat that flesh before battle.
He has to be able to kill something and not be like, if somebody never killed anything, then they go into battle and they kill somebody, it's like, I killed something. If they're accustomed to killing a boar or a deer or something, or a tiger, then it's like, they're used to it more, they can do it, which is why they don't want butchers to be on juries, on jury trials where there can be the death penalty, because they might not be sensitive enough about it.
Good.
Yeah, so I've heard this many places, many times we've heard this somewhere, look it up, I'm pretty sure that they don't want butchers to, because they're used to killing. So it's nothing to a butcher, so yeah, death penalty. No, as a human being, you gotta think deeply. They don't do it easily. And so, actually another point about this, Prabhupada wrote these books while he was in India, before he had experienced America, and the complication is that he was successful introducing Krishna consciousness in America because LSD had come along and people had what they called expanded consciousness, so now they're ready for anything, so then they heard Prabhupada. And I don't know about statistics, but from what I hear, it sounds like most of the devotees became ready for Prabhupada because of that. And not everybody, but anyway, it's very complicated. But at the same time, we have a regulative principles, no intoxication, so it's really important. And in fact, I think it's coming up yet, or maybe we just had, I forget which, I've been studying this chapter forward and backwards so much I don't remember what we already studied and didn't in class here. That mercy is destroyed by intoxication. You'd think mercy would be destroyed by animal killing. No, animal killing must happen when mercy is destroyed. Because first what destroyed mercy was intoxication. When you're intoxicated, you don't care so much. You get all wrapped up in how fun it feels to be intoxicated. You don't care so much about others, I guess. Because it said that intoxication destroys mercy. And pride destroys austerity. Why, I suppose, can try to figure out why you would say that pride destroys austerity, because you just get proud and you get some gain out of it. Like I think in the Bible somewhere Jesus says, if you fast, don't broadcast it, and look all, make sure everybody sees how you're suffering and how great you are that you're fasting. No, do it secretly and smile. Wash your face and smile so nobody knows. So pride destroys austerity, because you try to get something out of it. So what's the use anymore? What's the other ones? Cleanliness, illicit sex. Yeah. And then truthfulness, so much lying propaganda. We're so used to so much lying, and we don't even know what truthfulness is for sure anymore. So, anyways, we still value it, but we don't know what it is anymore, and we don't always tell it. So it's pretty weak, it's trembling. So that's the condition of the religious principles.
Isn't there something also in the chapter that describes charity, but in the mode of ignorance, charity in the mode of passion, charity in the mode of goodness, that one of them is something to the effect that you have to give the right person the right place. But I think the part that you mentioned about anonymous,
if you give charity for some benefit you want to get.
You get compassion for fame. There's an element of wanting to be recognized, whereas goodness, it doesn't say necessarily anonymous, but it doesn't.
Yeah, just give to the right person, the right reason. Just because it should be done, not because you want fame for it. It's such a great science if we understand all the parts that Krishna gives realization from within. Then we have an entire picture of how things should be. We understand everything. So if you understand Bhagavad Gita that way, that's why I say understand Varnashram that way, and it will unfold naturally. We get these realizations within this quality. You know, I have this kind of tendency, I like to do this work, so I ought to have this quality, I ought to be aware that I have a duty with it, not just doing it for me, but I have a duty, and like that. If we just understand it the same way we understand Bhagavad Gita, it will become real within, and we'll really understand how to do it. Oh, I see a hand up there.
Yeah, I wanted to get it clarified. You said that intoxication destroys mercy, but I thought it was animal killing destroys mercy, and intoxication destroys austerity, and illicit sex life destroys cleanliness, and gambling destroys truthfulness. That's what I thought.
It makes sense that way, and for all I know, it might say that somewhere else. I don't know. But here in this chapter, it says pride destroys austerity, and intoxication destroys mercy. So I saw that I really had to say, okay, Prabhupada did say like that. So why? So then I have come up with, well, if you are proud of your austerity, what good is it? And if you are intoxicated, you don't care. So then, after mercy is destroyed, you kill animals. So now that's how I figured out that this applies. It might say what you said somewhere else, I don't know. Because there may be many ways these things can be said. It doesn't mean that there appears to be a contradiction. It's just from a different angle or a different level of understanding or something. You know, they're all true, whatever Prabhupada says. There's actually no contradictions, we just think there are. So it might say that somewhere. That's just what this chapter says. Anybody else? Anything else? Okay. All goes to Srila Prabhupada, all goes to Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you all very much.
Welcome back to the Bhagavatam.
I'm sorry I didn't see it. I don't think I missed that much of the Bhagavatam because it's only like two verses after I was last year. So, it's all been slow. Everybody's saying yes.
We want to give classes on the importance of studying the Bhagavatam.
Oh, okay. I knew he must have done something a little bit off.
Like you took one of those verses that you recited, I think, or
okay.
and then you kind of analyze that, and then you emphasize that the class of the Bhagavatam is a very important part of the meditation and part of the sadhana bhakti process. It's like just like this came down.
That's really good. Yeah, I knew he would. He did. So I sort of regret it saying he didn't do much Bhagavatam because I know he gave class and he did something.
And then another time, he just all of a sudden surprised us and put his phone by the microphone, and it was a
Prabhupada.
class.
We were here for that thing.
Yeah.
And one of them also had to do with the nectar instruction. But that had something to do with the Bhagavatam as well. I thought his classes were very interesting.